Find out how to do a beautiful wreath like this for the price of $1. This is all about your second stimulus and second stimulus check and a third stimulus, but also how to get through the holidays on a budget. We're going to be talking about beautiful wreaths. You've given us some insight, and I asked you yesterday what type of wreaths you do. I'll be sharing some of my wreaths and also how to make a wreath for less than $1 with stuff just on that nature provides us. Beautiful stuff. This is a great morning, and I'm so excited for you to join us on Holidays LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm here, you're here, and so are the wreaths on a day in which we're going to be talking about wreaths and stimulus. It's a great morning, and thank you for joining us for Holidays LALATE, our new hit show here on midday, in which we talk a little bit about financial and business news and your second stimulus, third stimulus, and first stimulus package. But we get right to the fun and festive, talking about the holidays and how to have a wonderful, glorious time amidst everything that's going on. I thank you for tuning in yesterday and making this an absolute blockbuster of a show. What I'm going to be going over in today's recording first on the breaking news is what Wall Street's doing this morning amidst concerns about where we are nationally. The numbers are in across the board, and there is a thought that debt will be needed, and that debt is actually fueling the stimulus package discussion. So it's all great, exciting news. A second stimulus check is going to be coming to you. The issue is how much, and so we'll be touching on that as well. Then, starting about the 10-minute mark, so stay with me at the 10-minute mark, we'll be talking wreaths. One of the viewers actually makes wreaths as her business, so I'll be turning to her discussion, and a couple of viewers also shared their incredible wreaths. And then I'll be going over your answers to yesterday's question of the day, which is, what favorite food item do you love during the holidays? This is the most interactive and the most lighthearted daytime show here we have on LALATE, so I'm so glad you're joining me on Holidays LALATE. Let's get first to the breaking news. The breaking news is that Wall Street is slightly down this morning, and this is amid the new jobs numbers, which was actually quite good. So again, we have a day in which economic data was released, and it beat the expectations of Wall Street, but yet Wall Street's down. So what does that mean as to stimulus? It means that they said it was good, but it means that it wasn't good enough because they say they see the impact of no stimulus. And so now new calls for stimulus this morning, and this is incredible great news. Your biggest advocate for stimulus has been us. Mitch McConnell, the new majority leader for yet another term, and Wall Street. But the other big advocate is the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, will testify today in a second hearing of the FOMC to discuss things like stimulus. Yesterday, he said that he's keeping the interest rate flat at 0% because he wants to ensure the prices come down. And this is really important, especially when we're talking about holiday wreaths. You and I have been talking about prices of food and eggs and milk, and we want to make sure these prices come down as we wait for the stimulus check to arrive. And Jerome Powell says it will, and he says he has a lot more instruments to keep things in check and keep them better. So this is incredible great news. First, that prices will come down. Second, that inflation is going to stop. Third, that he's ready to shoot and fire with great, incredible financial options to get stimulus going. And finally, he's always been the biggest advocate for you for stimulus to land in your hands. You know, when we talk about stimulus, we're talking about stimulus checks. We're talking about robust stimulus checks, not $1,200. We're talking about bigger stimulus checks. We're talking about stimulus checks to get you up to the present. We're talking about stimulus checks quite soon. We're talking about FPUC. We're talking. Someone asked me just a minute ago, what type of FPUC should I be on Twitter tweeting LALATE for the Purple Power Caucus? What numbers should I be talking about for FPUC? I certainly say 400 to 600. And you know why I'm putting it a little bit higher is because Mitch McConnell, of course, has a history of wanting to go lower on FPUC $300. But the big one that I've talked about as well, and someone sent me a DM about this just minutes ago. The viewer said, LALATE, I just watched morning's LALATE, which this morning's broadcast, and if you've not, please tune in. It's a very good broadcast. The viewer said, I'm a little confused. I thought you had always said we're okay on PUA weeks and FPEUC weeks. I did when we were back in September. We're now in December. PUA is running out. PUA will actually end in a few weeks, and FPUC is also running out in a few weeks. So it's important to understand that you have to stay with me on the latest data and the latest numbers and the latest stimulus provisions, because what I reported in July or September, October, a lot of these things are coming up, and so I don't want you to miss out on anything. So the incredible great news is stimulus is coming to you. Stimulus checks, FPUC, and then also grants. And I want to make clear a couple of things as we start the new day, is that you will see some terminology some other places, I'm not going to say where it is, but some other places in which they will refer to grants as stimulus checks. Grants are not stimulus checks. They will refer to unemployment benefits as stimulus checks. That's not stimulus checks either. It's stimulus, but it's not a stimulus check. So you have to understand, I will never do that on this channel. I will never say to you, for example, a grant program announced in Henderson, Las Vegas for people who have purple hair and green on the side get a $400 grant. I will not say there's a $400 stimulus check coming to all Americans. I just won't do that. And I'll go to my grave not doing that. So I want you to understand the terminology that's out there. Stimulus checks means it comes from the federal government. Or there are stimulus checks that come from your state under CARES Act 1. That's incredible great news. And they call them stimulus checks. But unemployment or grants is not a stimulus check. The other great news as we sit here this morning is that by all accounts, and I want to clarify this for you, by all accounts, the Senate seems to still be remaining Republican. I know that out in the West, like in Arizona, Representative Kelly is expected to win, and other states are now reporting Senate races that we have not heard before. There is no indication yet that the Senate will go Democratic. It still seems to be Republican. And guess what? You know who's going to know that before you and I? Not the Calcita. Not Sirloin, although he'll probably know, before anyone else. Yeah, I mean, it's just, they ordered the milk from him, so they just, gossip about everything. It's probably Kong. It's probably Wall Street, because Wall Street is betting that that the Senate remains GOP, and that's why you see the Senate, Wall Street acting accordingly. What's important to understand is that Wall Street is pulling back today. It's down, and this is amid concerns that Wall Street was a little too exuberant about the situation. What's important to understand is that they're not pulling back because of stimulus. They're pulling back because of COVID-19 cases now heading to 110, 120. This is not good news, and no one could say that anything is good about COVID-19 cases going from 80,000 to 110 in just a few days. But what's really great news is that Wall Street is really laser focused on stimulus, and we can continue the narrative. It's so important, and I'm so happy and I'm so excited how I saw the tweets this morning, the Instagram posts. You're really staying on message. It's so important to stay on message because we have a lot of other stories that are eating up broadcast news front page, and you can't let stimulus go to back page. We saw that happen in about August, remember, when stimulus was sort of a forgotten story. You can't have that happen. It's not a forgotten story right now. I just don't want it to happen. So yesterday I asked you, what is your favorite holiday food or beverage that you just can't wait to get as soon as the holidays roll around? And Mercedes said, always on your toes. Happy holidays, LALATE. Karen Trump says, I love eggnog with brandy. I drink it every Christmas Eve. I love the holidays with friends and getting together. And of course, my new BFFs. Jeannie Wolfenbarker. Remember, Holidays LALATE is our most interactive show on this channel. So I'm going to be going over your comments. I'm going to be going over your posts. I'm going to be going over your items and your businesses. Oh yeah, it is a two-way street here, not my way and my highway. I mean, I don't have a highway. The Purple Road. No, I do not have my own highway. Not yet, at least. Jeannie Wolfenberger says, eggnog. Oh my God. Already had a quart. Okay, Jeannie, keep it in check. Too much right there. Time to get more. She's laughing. Just had Christmas decorations from my childhood to my daughter, 32 years old. The decorations are over 50 years old. That sounds wonderful. Joe Savek. The past few years, eggnog has been coming earlier and earlier. I've been in the grocery store retail for 16 years. Can you expect some sort of holiday hazard pay? Yes. And if you're in the grocery business and you have and you are a grocer or work in a grocery store, make sure you reach out to your union. They are the big ones. Christina Alexander, in Louisiana, they have Christmas trees up all year long. They just change the decorations every month. I love that, Christina. Jose Perez, I love the info this man gives us. He's so informative. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know anything about what's going on. Keep up the good work. You are the best Purple Power family. Well, thank you, Jose. And Tammy Brown also left a wonderful message. I appreciate the info from him. So let's turn to some wreaths. First, your wreaths. Yesterday I asked you, what type of wreaths do you use? Do you use a different type of wreath now than during Christmas season? Do you use like a Thanksgiving wreath? And how and where do you pull your wreaths? I'm going to first go over your wreaths, then I'll go share some of my wreaths, and then I'm going to explain how you can make a wreath for less than $1. It's absolutely incredible, and it's, this is based upon the most adverse climate for making wreaths, Los Angeles City. First, Sarah's Wreaths and Custom Crafts. Can you imagine? I have a viewer who actually is in the wreath making business. So I will drop a link to her in the comments of this video. I will sticky, and she is out of Warren, Ohio. That's Sarah's, and her real name is Sarah Hought, H-O-U-H-T. She shared a beautiful wreath, a Happy Trails wreath. Let me show you that Happy Trails wreath right now. Then Dreamweaver Serenity, who's a longtime viewer of this channel, and she's always a big advocate for hazard pay. She shared her wreath. She said, "Oh, you mentioned send some pictures of wreaths or crafts we've done. Here are some wreaths my family members, my daughter makes wreaths. Here's the fall wreath my daughter made 2 years ago. I keep it in a wreath box." Ooh, interesting. And I use it every year. She's very talented. She makes it for friends and family. Here is Dreamweaver's wreath. Isn't that beautiful? It's just absolutely gorgeous. Then another viewer, what that viewer did? 44 Woodworking sent a wreath, which I think is toilet paper rolls. Just, keeping it really cheap. So let me discuss some wreaths, and I'll show you some of mine, and then let me go over how you make a wreath for less than $1. Okay, so here is one of the wreaths I pulled out of storage. Now you can tell it's sort of a little bit dusty. And I wanted to leave it dusty so you understand it's in storage. I do not have a wreath box. I don't even know what a wreath box is. Maybe I should find what that is and Google it. So you see in this wreath, it is more Thanksgiving-ish because this is fake, of course. It has the orange, it has the yellow, a fake yellow flower, orange flower, orangish, yellowish pumpkins, really quite beautiful because they're dimatriculated. And then you see this sort of a mixture of flowers with leaves to keep it very festive for Thanksgiving. The bark is more a distressed type of bark, and it's two-tone, which actually is a good idea when you're doing a wreath. I'm going to get that to a second. Make sure you use two types of tones for the structure because it gives more definition and more depth. Also, what's interesting about this wreath, if you don't realize it, is that it's not particularly organized. It's disorganized on purpose. And you see how one branch is going up? That's what makes wreaths very dramatic on a door. If you keep the pieces that are coming out very loose and very non-directional. And you see there's just sort of pieces going helter-skelter. There's one up in the corner, which is green. There's one up in the left that's orange. And that's what makes the reef broader. So don't feel that your reef has to be very, very tight. It does not have to be a very tight, organized reef. So here's a reef that I would typically hang for Thanksgiving, or you could certainly put it on the dining room table. That works beautifully. And yesterday I was talking about why certain reefs have different flavors based upon different types of holidays. So I'd asked you, do you ramp it up and do something a little bit more flossy? It sounds like we're at the strip club for the reefs. It's the flossy reef. Back it up, Mr. Reef, back it up. It's the flossy reefs seem to come out around in mid-December. Here's what I would call as a more flossy reef. So let me see if I can get it in frame. Yeah, I'm getting in frame. So this you show here everything is of course fake. You see small little apples, fake apples, that have been sprayed with a gold paint. And gold paint is really one of the greatest things you can buy at the hardware store. It comes for about $5 for a can, and it could last you forever. And here they've used gold, but they sort of distressed it, so it's not cohesive. You never want the color to be a solid color. And what they did was they mixed it with some green. So they went green and gold was their color pattern. I think I got this, and see they put a big bow at the bottom. I'm having to turn the reef so you see it. But what they did was they sort of really focused on a two-color pattern, the gold and the green, and then the reef base is more monochromatic. I would have gone a little bit, well, you see some variation in color right here. I would have gone with a little bit more variation in the reef. It is a robust reef. It is very thick and dense. Determining how many ancillary items you put on them is your twist. What I like is they had these twisty items put on here, which you see if you look right here. That sort of captures the eye because you don't want the same sort of impact on the reef throughout. So when I talked earlier, I said, there are ways to make reefs for $1 or for free. And so let me go over that right now. Now, understand, I'm in Los Angeles, where you would think that the trees don't change leaves. You would think that, the only trees we have are palm trees. I see the shade. I see the insults coming. The only trees we have are ones we hang our surfboards on and our flip-flops. I got those jokes. So, no, we have beautiful leaves. So here is a wonderful leaf. This is one stem that I found on the ground from a persimmon tree. Do you have a persimmon tree in your area? Have you ever heard of persimmons? So you see how beautiful this leaf is. It is green with a little bit of yellow in it. If I turn this way, you see the leaves can be orange-ish. And you see here, then they become more pink. With this type of branch, what you can do is simply just putting the branch on the dining room table or put it on the front door. But what you can do is either separate and split the bases and then lay them out and create the circumference, or detach it and do it little by little. What's great about when you choose a particular tree like this, you'll get a lot of variations. You'll get the green, you'll get the orange, and then you'll get these beautiful pink hues in there. I hope I can show the pink hues here. And what's important to say is that, here we're thinking about just doing one reef and one tree family. This is a persimmon tree, and you have very, very broad, you can see how big the leaf is. It's almost as big as my hand. That's just one leaf. So imagine how beautiful a reef would be. To create the reef, you would just need a few of these sticks, which you see here. You would lay them out. You would pull them together with some twine or tape, just some random tape, create the structure. I would create the band that ties it to the door first before continuing, and then the final touches are to add the leaves to the reef. Now, the way you want to add it is probably focusing on the base of the leaf. Every leaf has a little bit of a base, and that is where you can either tape it, hot glue it. You can staple it, but I think stapling is really going to be the hardest preamble. And I would vary. See, this one is gorgeous. It's matriculated. It has the green and the orange in it, whereas this one's more green, and then you have the ones that are orange. Now, let me show you some examples. That is a tree. That is from the persimmon tree, and that is one branch that is all together. When coming on set, leaves start falling. And so here is what an individual leaf would look like if you just start with the leaves specifically by themselves. And I want to show you how incredibly different you can make this. So this one is more of a green orange, and you see how beautiful that pink is coming in the corner? Here you have it really all in the pink and yellow hues, and then here you have this beautiful variation and the vines coming in. What I would always do is try to go with leaves that have this type of accents, where you see the variation in both the leaves and the dynamics. And so when you do that, you can have a lot of incredible options. I mean, see here, just in the amount of leaves in a frame of a small camera, how much color you can capture. Now, the next question you may answer is, well, what if we use leaves from different trees? Absolutely. So what I want to show you is here I have pulled this type of leaf, which I found walking on set, and I pulled this type of leaf, and I could even smell the fragrance. I mean, the fragrance of this leaf is absolutely incredible. I can imagine having it on the holiday table in your house. And then this leaf. So look at these beautiful leaves. They're all from the same tree. The one on the left is clearly very green. The one in the middle is very orange. And then the one is on the right has beautiful variations of the two. What tree is this from? Can you guess? You know what? I'm going to leave you to guess. Drop in the comments below if you can guess what tree this leaf is from. I will give you a hint. It's from a fruit tree. So guess what type of fruit tree this leaf is from. And the fruit are not in season currently right now. So imagine if you combine that with this leaf, which was for the persimmon. I told you before, this one was for the persimmon. Imagine if you combined a few of the persimmon leaves with the tree on the left. Imagine how dramatic that is. Everything in front of my hand is free. Absolutely and categorically free. Everyone has some tape around the house, some Scotch tape, or some staples, or a little bit of twine. And imagine what you can do. Finally, what I often do on a holiday table is I just put these leaves right on them. I just put it right on the holiday table. I lay it out. I create a pattern. And you got to understand is that the bottom of this leaf is basically very clean. It's not going to hurt your table. Even if you have a finished table or unfinished table, it will not hurt your table. There's no sap on the leaves. And so you don't even have to make a wreath. You can create the same effect with just putting these beautiful leaves on the table, and they'll stay there throughout the entire holiday season, all the way to the new year. I hope you had fun with today's recording. This was an attempt to show you how you can make beautiful wreaths without buying them in the store and achieve the same incredible impact. Coming up tomorrow is more of the holiday spirit. And thank you for those comments. And if you have questions or comments about your wreaths, I'd love to hear from you. Meantime, guess what type of tree that was from? Coming up next this afternoon is Afternoons LA at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay with LA for more.